What's up everyone, welcome back. Today is just one of the most incredible days here. It's a perfect day, and it's also a perfect day to be setting up some ricefish mini ponds, and we're going to be doing them inside today. They're going to be very simple, but we're starting out outside because a couple weeks ago I grabbed some eggs from these ricefish over here. I used one of these things right here. This is a little spawning mop, and I just stuck this in there, and a couple days later I checked back on it and there were a ton of eggs in there. So I grabbed one of these, I brought them inside, put it in a little jar, and the eggs started hatching. So let's take a quick look at the ricefish we've got out here first. Let me put this back where it belongs. So I collected eggs from this little pond, and this pond, if my shadow will get out of the way, has red ricefish. They're not like super bright red. Well, right now there's some mixed ricefish. Maybe you can see that, but those were newly added in here. But a couple weeks ago when I collected their eggs, there are only red ricefish in here, so I wanted to get some red ones. These aren't like super red, not the highest quality, but I just wanted them so that I can hatch babies out for next year, so that we can have more ricefish next year. Because if you guys didn't know, ricefish don't have a really long lifespan. They only live about 2 to 3 years, so to keep your colonies going, you want to hatch out eggs and keep the fry alive. So yeah, right here we've got mixed ricefish. There's black ones, white ones, and they're all hiding right now because they're probably scared of me. But yeah, super simple setup. I've done multiple videos on these little mini ponds. You can see the lilies are starting to come out really nicely. We've also got a flower that's about to shoot out. Oh wait, it's this one right here. You can see this right here. I don't want to disturb it too much, but that's where a flower comes out from. So that's the first flower of this pond. That pond already had a flower a couple days ago, and there's a beautiful yellow lily flower. So yeah, let's go back inside and let's start setting up some mini ponds. Alright, so this right here is what we're going to be setting up the mini ponds in. 2 of them. We're using these plastic containers, so storage containers. Very cheap, you can use anything. I was actually going to use my styrofoam boxes, but I want to use that for something else. Right now we've got this thing, and I think it's gonna work fine. You can see this is the container I was talking about, which I raised the babies. The eggs hatched inside here, and if you look closely, there's a bunch of them swimming, and they should be red ricefish. I'm not 100% sure. They could have bad genetics, or they could have crossbred at some point of time, but they should most likely be red ricefish. We'll have to just wait and see. But today we're going to get these guys into a bigger setup, into this container, and we're also going to set one more up for a special type of ricefish that we'll be getting tomorrow. One of the most common questions I get about setting up ricefish mini ponds is what size containers I use, what size mini ponds I use. The answer to that is it really doesn't matter. You can have any size you want. This right here is one of the most common size. These plastic containers is what many breeders use in Japan to breed ricefish. So I'm using this. I got this at my home center. I'll put the dimensions up on the screen right here. But you can breed ricefish. You can keep them in any size you want. The only one thing is just not to have it too deep, because if it's too deep, there could be not enough oxygen for the ricefish. So you just want to keep that in mind. A shallower setup is usually better for the ricefish. And ricefish can be housed without any water movement. So they don't need air stone, they don't need filtration. If you just saw my aunt and uncle's ricefish pond, there's no filtration on that whatsoever. Only thing filtering the water is are the plants. So I think we can finally start setting these mini ponds up. I've never done anything like this before, like not an indoor setup. It's gonna be pretty fun, and this time around it's going to be even more exciting because I'm going to be trying to breed some ricefish. These guys not so much. I'm just going to grow them out and save them for next year's ricefish season. And then for the other setup, I'm going to be getting some super nice, pretty rare ricefish that you guys will see tomorrow. I'm not getting them today, but I'll get them tomorrow, and it'll all be in this video, so make sure you're staying and watching till the end. But first off, you want to make sure you rinse your containers. I've already rinsed this out, give this a good wash, so yeah, that's ready to go. Next up, I'm going to be adding some of this. It's kind of dark, so I'll show you guys in the sunlight. But this right here is some ceramic, I'm not so sure what it's called, like ceramic media or a gravel type of thing. I took this out from my aunt and uncle's pond. The story of how we got this is we were at a place that sold rice fish and clay pots. And the guy made his own type of media or his own type of gravel because he used to use akadama soil, and the problem with akadama soil, it's a very good soil, but over time it'll break down and crumble, and he didn't like that, so he decided to make his own type of soil, and this is what he came up with. So it's basically a clay-based, I'm not sure, it's like baked clay, and it's super hard, it doesn't break, and it looks like akadama soil. So this thing will be good for housing bacteria, and yeah, I'm going to be using some of it. It's already got bacteria in this, so we're going to use this in this setup so that we can have some bacteria to start the cycle. So I'm going to just start ahead by pouring some of this into a container. Let me get this air stone out. We will be using some air in this setup. Even though you don't need it, I just want to be extra safe because I've never really done anything like this before. Alright, so we've got the little clay balls, the ceramic media inside, and next up we can add water. For the time being, I've moved the little red rice fish in here. Look how many there are in there. There's got to be 20, 30 in there. But next up, we can add water into these little containers. And I'm going to add some of this water. This is some greenish water that's really good for rice fish. Rice fish love green water, so we're going to add about probably 30% of that water in here. So we've got aeration going on in both setups right now, just a little bit of float because rice fish, they don't like a lot of surface agitation. They prefer calm water because they like to stay at the top, and if you have too much surface agitation, it'll really stress them out and it'll tire them out, so just watch out for that. I'm using this little air pump right here. If you don't have an air pump, you really don't need any oxygenation. You don't need to have an air stone, you don't need to have a filter. Just make sure you keep up with regular water changes once a week or once every 2 weeks, depending on how much you feed them, depending on how many rice fish you have. Just make sure to watch out for those things. I know it looks a little bit messy with all the cords hanging down here, but just remember, this is a temporary setup. It's only going to be here for a few months, maybe, well, yeah, a few months at most, because I want to move the rice fish outside in the near future. Where my goldfish pond is over there, I'm thinking of setting up a few rice fish containers just like this and maybe try to breed them outdoors, because rice fish, they do a lot better outdoors. The red ones that I've currently got, I'm going to pour them in here, and yeah, no acclimation really needed because these guys are super hardy and they're fine. Alright guys, I just picked up the rice fish, the Orochi black rice fish. They're like jet black, and you can't see them right now because it's dark, but we'll get them back home and put them in that container. So here's a better look at the 3 rice fish I got. This is called the Orochi rice fish, and to me, I call it the jet black rice fish because they are really jet black. But however, this strain isn't the best. One of them is slightly orange, but I can't really complain about that since I got these guys for free. So I'm going to get these guys in the fish room right now. It's dark, completely dark in the fish room, so I'll show you guys tomorrow when it's a little brighter. And take a look at this, guys. We've got the 3 jet black Orochi rice fish. They're doing incredible right now. You can see they're eating the pellets that I've just put in there. That's one of the best signs you can have as a fish keeper, just getting new fish. Whenever they eat for you, you know that they're probably going to do all right. So really happy with these guys. You can see the one in the very back right there. That one is a little bit golden in color, so it's not the best quality. These Orochi rice fish, you want them to be jet black in color, so we'll try to breed these fish and try to get some really nice colorations from the next generation. But yeah, so that is the basic setup of these mini ponds. Just the plastic container. You can use a styrofoam box if you want. You can use whatever you have, a glass fish tank. You can even use a stainless steel sink, maybe even a bathtub, trash can, anything you have. These rice fish will do well in. The best thing though is to keep them outdoors. That's really what I want to do for these guys. So in the future, I'll probably get them outdoors because these rice fish, they really prefer having sunlight. Today's not a very sunny day. It's kind of raining and gloomy, so yeah, but just keep in mind, rice fish, they like sunlight. That's why I've also got them right by the window for now. So yeah, in the future, they'll be going outside. And then we've got the little babies in here. You can kind of see them getting much bigger. I'm feeding them brine shrimp every single day, so yeah, they're gonna get nice and big for us. I want to say thank you to my friend for giving me 3 of his Orochi rice fish. I really hope I can breed them and get more babies out of them. It would be so cool to see a whole group of these jet black rice fish just swimming around in a pond, and I hope to get a white one of these because the contrast will just be so nice. So hopefully we can make that happen. In this area right here, I'm going to change it up a bit. Right now you can see we've got the mini ponds I mentioned. I'll be taking that out and putting them outside, and what's going to go in here are 2 tanks, one down at the bottom and one up here, and they're going to be these 2 tanks right here. I got these 2 tanks for free from one of my neighbors who used to run a fish shop. These 2 tanks still held water perfectly fine, but these tanks have been running for over 30 years in his store, and I just thought it was time to reseal it. So I peeled off all the silicone. It still held water perfectly fine, but the silicone was getting yellow and kind of peeling apart, so I decided to peel it all off and apply new silicone on it. It's definitely not the best, prettiest job ever, but I'm pretty happy with the outcome. You can see the silicone on the glass, the edges, the parts where it's visible, you can see it's pretty clean, so really happy with that. Only the bottom part is kind of messy, kind of sloppy, but you're not going to be able to see that once we put substrate in. So these 2 tanks, I'm still not sure what fish I'm going to keep in. Well, actually, I do know one type of fish that I want to keep in one of these tanks. It's the 𝗲𝘂𝗀𝗀𝘀𝘀, it's the Asian rummy-nose reservoir. I just think a tank full of green plants and then that blue and red fish will look incredible. The 𝗲𝘂𝗀𝗀𝗀𝘀, it's Asian rummy-nose reservoir. I'll give you a quick look at what they are. So right here, I don't want to spook them off, but you can just see how beautiful this fish is right there. They are kind of easily spooked, so you don't want to spook them off too much, but those fish are going to go in one of those tanks, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that. As always, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, be sure to give a thumbs up and subscribe. If you haven't already, this fish room is slowly coming together nicely, and I'm pretty happy with it. Still a lot of tanks with algae in it, and I'm trying to balance out stuff, but it's just the patience, a waiting game. So I think I say patience like almost every single video now, but it is patience, and I'll see you guys next time.